And welcome back, Rugby fans, to Rugby411. As always, I'm your host. My name is Joshua Shibata, and this is our Week 14 preview of the 2025 MLR season. We just have 4 weeks of MLR regular season action left before we get to the playoffs and then to the, of course, MLR championship game at the end of the season. It is going to be exciting. If you've watched my power ranking video, only one team so far has secured a spot. One team, unfortunately, has been eliminated, so still lots to play for. And even with, spoiler, the New England Free Jacks securing their spot, not a guarantee that they'll have first or second place in the Eastern Conference. It is still wide open, especially in the Western Conference. So, again, we're still Stormwing, so there is a game on Friday, there's a game on Monday, there's 2 games on Saturday, 1 game on Sunday. 5 games total, so a lot of rugby action. It should be noted that one team is on bye is NOLA Gold, and I mean, obviously they need it because they just went through a massive 3 games in 9 days, so they definitely need the time off. But that leaves a lot open for the teams that are fighting them for that Eastern Conference playoff spot, but we'll get into that in just a second. Don't forget, all these games can be live or on demand in the United States, ESPN Plus. No games, unfortunately, this week on ESPN2. But if you are international, you can watch all the games live or on demand with the Rugby Network. Of course, if you don't want to pay for ESPN Plus, you got to wait 72 hours and then it'll be uploaded on the Rugby Network. Otherwise, ESPN Plus, very convenient. It's literally uploaded right after the game plays, so you can binge real quickly like I do when I watch every game. So again, rugby starts Friday night footy, May 16th, 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. New England Free Jacks taking on the Miami Sharks in the Baptist Health Community Field. This is an important game for, technically, I guess, both teams. More so Miami than New England. New England sitting right now at the number 1 spot. But, of course, they got to keep winning because Chicago's just a couple points behind them, fighting for that number 1 spot, which means if you finish the season number 1, you get overall home pitch advantage for the playoff games, of course, before the neutral field game for the MLR Shield game. But Miami, this is the important one because, like I mentioned before, NOLA is on a bye. So NOLA, who is only 2 points behind Miami, this is a chance for Miami, for Old Glory, and for technically New England and Chicago to get a little bit more ahead of NOLA and force them to play catch up. But Miami actually has a win over New England. New England's won 2, Miami's won 1. The one win for Miami was back last year in 2024, 15-13 win in Miami. Does that necessarily mean that they'll win this game? We'll see. I mean, if you asked me earlier in the season when New England started 2-3, yeah, I would have probably thought so. But since that 2-3 start, New England has been on a 7-match win streak. They are again looking like the dominant, reigning, defending two-time Major League Rugby champions. Yeah, I mean, there could be a big upset with Miami, but considering these two teams played earlier in the year, New England destroyed Miami 43-6. I'm kind of thinking New England will continue on their win streak. But stranger things have happened. I mean, Miami does need this win, like I said, to stay ahead of the NOLA Gold. Then on Saturday, we have 2 really important Western Conference matchups. Sadly enough, the games start only an hour apart, so if you're going to try to watch both games, you'll have to have 2 screens. But Saturday, May 17th, we start 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time in Houston at the SaberCats Stadium. Utah taking on Houston. Utah and Houston are in the 1 and 2 spot respectively. Utah is just 1 point ahead of Houston. So again, both teams kind of in the playoff run, purely in the playoff run, but if you want that home pitch advantage for at least the 2 playoff games, you want to finish in first. So Utah, who's on a 2-game losing streak, taking on a pretty dominant-looking Houston. In this rivalry, Utah has 4 wins, Houston has 6. Houston has won 2 at home, 4 and away. Last time these two played earlier this year, Houston dominated Utah in Utah 37-17. Like I said, Utah kind of on an odd losing streak now. Houston looking pretty good right now. And of course, they do have that pitch advantage. So I'm going to say that Houston takes away the win here. But this is a very big game that either team could win. And then an even bigger game, the biggest rivalry in Major League Rugby. San Diego going over. Whoop, forgot the @ sign here. There you go. San Diego going over to Starfire Stadium to take on the Seattle Seawolves. As I mentioned before, this is the biggest rivalry in all Major League Rugby. These two teams are even 5-5. But interestingly enough, these two teams going on two completely opposite projections. San Diego, which started the season 5-0, then dropped the next 5 games straight. And, you know, in the last 8 games, haven't necessarily done well either. They won 2, but they lost another. So they finished the last 8 games 2-6. They are fighting for their life for the playoff spot. While Seattle started the season 2-5, and now in the last 4 games are 3-1-1. They are also fighting for a playoff spot. Right now, Seattle is behind RFCLA by 2 points. They are in last place in the Western Conference. There are 5 teams, only 4 get to go to the playoffs, so you just don't want to be that last team. This is a crucial game for both teams. San Diego wants to stay ahead of Seattle. Seattle needs as many points as possible. As an RFCLA fan, I really want San Diego to win just because it benefits LA more so that San Diego wins than if Seattle wins. But man, San Diego, I don't know what's going on with them. They have just been not so good this season. And Seattle looks like they kind of figured things out. Again, Seattle does what Seattle does. They always start the season kind of slow, and then they make that push near the playoffs. This is that time for that push. And it's in Starfire Stadium, which, again, is a tough place to play. Last time these two teams played, though, it gotta be mentioned, San Diego did beat Seattle 40-26 in San Diego. Don't think that Seattle doesn't remember that. Again, as much as I want San Diego to win, I really do think Seattle wins this game in Starfire Stadium. And now let's continue with the rest of the games in this week's slate. We go to Sunday, May 18th. You know, not necessarily the most important game because, again, Anthem has unfortunately nothing to play for. They are mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. But Old Glory is sitting at number 3. Miami right behind them, nipping at their heels. And again, you want to try to finish in the top 2 so you get at least a home pitch advantage. You definitely don't want to be playing New England in New England, which Old Glory has had the habit of doing during the playoffs. So Old Glory, of course, wanting to win as many points as possible. And, you know, this one was a tough one for me because I really want Anthem to win a game this season. And with the remaining games on their slate, this might be the closest one they have left on the season. Because I believe the rest of the games, they have Chicago, they have New England, and I believe they have Seattle at the very end. This might be, as much as I know John from Rugby Morning is not going to be happy to hear me say it, this would be the game where I'm thinking maybe Anthem might be able to pull it off. Now, Old Glory has beaten Anthem every time they played, 3-0, but the last time that they played earlier this year, Anthem came within 4 points of winning the game. So yeah, this is going to be a tough one. I really want Anthem to win, but I'm going to go with my brain on this one and say that Old Glory gets the win against Anthem. Now, of course, very important game, Monday Night Footy, Monday, May 19th. RFCLA going over to Chicago at SeatGeek Stadium to take on the Chicago Hounds. This is an important game for RFCLA, of course, because they are trying to beat off Seattle from trying to overtake them. They are ahead of Seattle only by 2 points. Seattle, again, like I said, might win against San Diego. So, again, Chicago, RFCLA can't afford to lose to Chicago. The last time these two teams played was last season, and it's the only time that they played. That game was, again, in Chicago as well. Chicago put the beat down onto RFCLA 54-31. But obviously, these are two completely different teams now. RFCLA on a 3-game losing streak, but then they just recently drew with Seattle, beat Anthem, so momentum a little bit high. And again, 2 of those games in the 3-game losing streak, they only lost by 2 points, so RFCLA is a very tough team. Chicago, for whatever reason, they've been struggling these last 4 games. After a 7-1 start, in the last 4 games, they are 1-3. Now again, those 3 losses, one of them was against New England, one of them was against Utah, who was really hot, and then a very odd loss to Seattle. So, again, this is tough because Chicago looking a little lackadaisical against New England, but it's New England. RFCLA, of course, probably pretty high off of a dominating win against Anthem, even though it's Anthem, it's still a big win. RFCLA does have to travel to Chicago, but, of course, going with my heart on this one. I went with my brain on this one, going with my heart on this one. And I think RFCLA can pull off the win in Chi-Town to stay ahead of Seattle. I'm hoping for it because, again, I think Seattle wins against San Diego, so LA has to beat Chicago to stay ahead of Seattle and keep their playoff hopes alive. So, again, an exciting week of Major League Rugby action. So many, almost all the games pretty much have playoff implications, or at least really affects the playoffs. So, yeah, it's going to be exciting. You should watch all the games. Again, they're all going to be live or on demand on ESPN+. If you're a U.S. Fan, internationally, it will be on the Rugby Network. 72 hours later, it will be uploaded on replay for USA fans on the Rugby Network. Either way, watch these games. It's going to be exciting Week 14. And yeah, again, we only have 3 weeks after this week before the regular season ends. It is going by so quickly. And as always, thank you very much for being with me for every part of the season, and I'll see you on the pitch.